Alright guys, Hound's Armory here, and today we are continuing on this double strike integration project. This is where we've gotten up to at this point. Of course this is just free floating right now. And we've got this really nice silhouette going. Now I can't really think of any place where I feel like I need to add a bit or cover up a bit of form language for the moment. So I think I'm just gonna spend today's episode kind of just cleaning her up and working on the final fit and finish. So that being said, this is probably gonna be a lot of time lapse, but we should have something that's starting to look pretty dang good in a little bit. So that being said, let's just jump right into working. Oh, I should probably tell you what I'm doing. There's this line on the top of the double strike here, and I really want it to line up with the top of this. So I'm just slowly removing material in this gap here, so it will sit down there. And I think I just have to widen that gap to get there. So that's where we're starting. That's it. Now, personally, I'm not too worried about leaving some gap up here, because I do like the idea of seeing the barrel under this kind of shroud section here, but I'm going to clean up that hole once I figure out how this is all going to fit together, because I don't want to use, my buddy JB to stick anything to any of the mechanical bits of the blaster, so that there's a chance I can swap bits out. So, yeah. Of course, I use hot glue to tack my bits together, but once you're done tacking them together, you don't really want globs of hot glue everywhere. So I don't really have a good method to get rid of it. I typically just use a combination of something like a razor blade, an X-Acto knife, and my fingernails to just kind of pop and scrape it off. While that heats up, obviously, I did not get this. Sorry, I'm holding this in orientation. It's hard to see. These two edges are not perfectly aligned, and they're going to line up on a straight edge here. So, when in the beginning of the video, when I was just staring and looking at things, I had this bit on just a little skewed, so I couldn't go ahead and clean up that line. So now I'm gonna try to tack this back on as square as possible. Oh, I should do this first, because I probably won't really take this back apart. Give me one second. So, to be honest, once I get these all fitted together, I'm probably not going to want to take them back apart and refit them. So, I should probably prep them to be fused together as is. Now, so before I do anything else, I need to level these two edges, which looks like this one's just a little high. And I need to prepare these two pieces to be DEFCON, plastic loaded, whatever. and eventually paint it, because things like this crevice in here are going to be hard to get to. So I need sandpaper, which I did not grab before. So, sandpaper. Now, sandpaper does two things for us when it comes to gluing and painting. First of all, it gets rid of the stuff we don't want, like pre-existing paint that will keep glue and paint from actually bonding to the plastic we want to keep, which will lead to glue peeling and failing and paint peeling off and chipping off, which we don't want. The other thing it does is give the material kind of known as tooth, which basically means a rougher surface, which if you think about, most things that are adhesive, that we use as adhesives, so glues and paints are technically adhesives because they're adhering to a surface. They stick to surfaces, and so the more surface area you have for things to stick to, the better the stuff is going to stick. Hope that made sense. So what you can do by roughing up a surface, and I'm going to do it in a couple ways, and as I get to them I'll stop and talk about them. What you do when you rough up a surface is you create little divots and crannies where things like your glue and your paint can seep into and get a better hold to the material. That being said, I'm going to start with some, what do I got here? Some 80 grit sandpaper. Just tear off a little strip and start to get rid of this paint. Okay, I'm still standing and working on stuff. Sanding blocks are great. Sanding blocks are really great because they keep your fingers from cramping up too much, and they often are better for getting into cracks and crevices than your fingers are. So, I have this pair of small ones that came off my 3D printer. If you have a 3D printer, I would highly suggest printing some of these out. I will try to remember to link in the description below. Highly recommend them. Hint on sanding. Don't keep using the same sandpaper. Once you can tell it's not working as well, just switch it out. You're gonna save yourself time and so much headache. Right. So, to me, there's two different things you add more tooth for. And they are paint and glue. Paint, I tend to stick with sandpaper, where you get finishes like I've got here on the bottom, which are very scratched up and very rough, but they're still kind of smooth to the touch. And that's because you still want it to look and feel good. With paint, however, I tend to go a little more extreme. Not paint, for glue. I think that's... Anyway, for glue, I go a little more extreme. And to be fully honest, this is the step in any project where I end up cutting myself more than any other thing, because I hold small things and so I will do sandpaper and or file, but then for places I know I'm going to glue, I use a X-Acto knife or razor blade, box opener, sharp knife to go through and do cross hatching of deeper grooves, just to give even more surface area. And this is by no means an exact science, but I don't like to just do diagonals in one way. I try to do like a cross hatch across. Where's our just go that way? This way. Like I said, be careful. You know, I'm trying to get better about putting a glove on my offhand, so when I do ever so slightly tap my hand, I don't cut myself. And please be careful whenever using any kind of tool. Even something like sandpaper can be very abrasive against your skin, give you a rash. Of course, knives will cut you. Not can, they will cut you. They are sharp and pointy and designed to cut things. That being said, this is kind of a hard piece to see. You might be able to see on there. Just put a little bit of some deeper grooves on it. And of course, what I'm about to do right now is that, so I'm focusing on those surfaces that are going to be glued. Hence why I haven't gotten all the paint off this piece, because I'll get back to that later. And a little bit of paint separation. Let's just see some of your details better when you're looking at your shapes. I forgot to take the lettering off. There's a couple approaches to this. I like my sanding blocks just because you hold it good and you get your hand going, it goes away nice, it's fine. I've heard people just scraping them off with a razor blade, which just sketches me out, so I'm not going to do that. So I just use my sanding block. Not least put this in time lapse because 1 fluid ounce of elbow grease later, your letter's gone. Yeah, I've got a little bit right there. Boom. Okay, back to time lapse. So now that I'm working on some more final finishing things, I'm using the same tools. Sandpaper, file, knife in extreme cases, and my flush cutters, but I'm working much slower, taking much less material off at a time. Like that, see? Already starting to fit in better. I think I have to take a pick. So now I have to make a decision. I'm not quite getting straight because this portion here is impacting this screw post. Now I'm going to lose this screw post once I put this shroud on because it can't get to the screw anymore. That's fine. I thought that was a screw post. That's just a support. That means it's even more important that I keep that intact. because my closest screws will be back here and there. So I'm going to try to retain this screw port as much as possible, and if I can, I might try to make it accessible through the shroud here so we can still use that screw. If not, I'll just have more material there, but I do need to take a little off of here. So, here's our file. Now, I don't want to take away too much material, because that is another surface in which I can apply my plastic welder to give me a better attachment. That is getting there. That's about where I want that to sit. I think that fits. So, what to do next? So now I'm stumped, because I thought this was going to take longer than it did, and well, I've only been sitting here for not too long. As in, I have more time in this episode. I think. Yeah, this is kind of a loose thing. I don't really set times. I'm gonna wait on figuring out the front until this is securely set so I can get it nice and svelte. I still don't think that's quite there. I'm gonna leave that for now. I think I want to fix this gap in the grip. Therefore, we open this back up. Quick tip whenever you're working with, especially Nerf blasters with screws, have a cup nearby just so you're not spreading your screws across your workbench. Don't always follow the advice, like sometimes just plop them where it is, which is a bad idea. So use a cup. Okay, so we're gonna glue the grip on. I'm going to do this very carefully and show you what I do as soon as I find my little bit of scrap wood. I don't know where it went. Ah, there it is. So, when it comes to using glue, I do a couple things. I grab some aluminum tape, a spare bit of wood that it says don't trash on it, and palette, because it's my glue palette. This is so I have a good place to put down my epoxy that I'm pretty certain it's not going to adhere to, while keeping it slightly mobile. So basically. So, little piece of wood, keep it mobile. A little bit of aluminum tape to keep it even more contained, because this stuff will mess stuff up. Now, before I glue, I do think I'm gonna do this both sides at once, and I tend to like to do it out, but I think having the pressure all together will help it get aligned right, especially since you can put, screws to hold it all together. So I'm going to start putting that screw in. And to start, I'm just going to be putting glue just a little on the bits that I know aren't going to drip through, just to get it tight together, and then we'll open it up and finish it there. Of course, whenever you use epoxies, you want to be wearing gloves, because if you don't, as well as some sort of face mask, because if you get, first of all, if you get it on your hands, that's obnoxious, but if you get it on your hands and you inhale a lot of it, you can actually develop basically an allergy to it. So you don't want to do that. Oh, one more thing we need. I remove the dart posts from most every blaster I own and use them as epoxy sticks. One other note I like to do is, even like this, when the two bits come linked together, I cut them separately because they never are the same, and I like to dispense one at a time. That's a bummer, because that's a lot. This is an old tube, so I'm not that surprised it's starting to get crunchy, and that is. And now we wait. About 30 minutes. So that's where we're gonna end right there, with this thing starting to look rather good. And starting to get everything getting tacked together. I've got these two bits beginning to get sealed together and the grip sealed on. So that is a great start to all of that. We got a bunch of our fine tuning done, and I'm starting to get to see what this blaster is actually going to look like. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't seen the rest of this project, please go back and watch the rest of the episodes. I'll put a link to the playlist somewhere. No clue where the card is in this orientation. And I really hope you liked it enough to leave a like down below, or even subscribe. I am so close to hitting 100 subscribers. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for all of you who do subscribe, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.